Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Conscious Conversations in Parenting. We're here, Natalie and I are here for episode 42 to talk about minimalism and awareness movement. And this idea, that stuff, right? Stuff in our environment, it holds energy. It holds energy. And so we're going to have a conversation about, what are some of the ways we can apply minimalism in our life because the clutter around us is a reflection of the clutter in here. And I know many of us probably want to be a little more clutter free up here. Yeah. So I think this is a really cool conversation to get into and to talk about how it can help us in our everyday life in our households, right? And in our interactions with our family. So yeah, my name is Angie. If you're here, thank you at any time when you hop into this video. Thank you for being here. I created Journey to Soul, and I help women create a life that they love. And so part of doing that is having very real conversations about awakening, about becoming conscious, because becoming conscious isn't really a walk in the park. Becoming conscious, we awaken to, some pretty crazy things we awaken to where we're like, oh my God, what? Would the world works this way? What? I've been doing this way, and oh my gosh, did I just yell at my daughter for being a child? Like, you have these moments like, and I think, a lot of people want to hide talking about that, and I just don't think that serves. I think it awakens, like we're all on a path of ascension. We're all on a path of evolution and evolving. We're always growing and we're doing differently than our parents did for us. And they're doing differently than their parents did for them. And we're trying to do that with our children, right? And so these conversations are really important. That's why I love bringing this to you and hearing your perspectives as well on your own experience, because that's how we learn. We can just come to you with our experiences. And so that's what we do in these conversations. All right, Natalie, I'll let you introduce yourself or say what's in your heart.
Thanks, Angie. Oh, I always do. Even if
Yes,
sometimes there's swear words in my heart.
they just come out.
Oh, yeah. My name's Natalie. Like Angie said, I am super excited about this topic today. The to me, minimalism and awakening kind of go hand in hand. It kind of depends what pops in first in your awareness, in your life experience. But um I've always been kind of more on the extreme side of purging. I'm a Libra, and I think that has something to do with it. Not that I'm tied down to any label, but sometimes I will just go on like an extreme purge where my husband's like, "Don't throw out like the wall," like we need, you know, like
Yeah, could you
because
leave?
so I've been so in my as I'm becoming more and more conscious, I'm more aware of those tendencies to just want to like throw everything out and restart from scratch because it's kind of like more on the extreme, right?
Right.
Um, and I've actually implemented some ways of decluttering gently, right? So I'm super excited about this conversation, and how Angie said that items deplete energy. Um, I completely wholeheartedly agree with that. Like not all items, but we have like a cluster of stuff. My life experience, I share it with my husband and my two kids. And, with kids, sometimes just stuff piles up. And then we want to clean their rooms when they don't clean their room. We want to just get rid of the items that, like, like bits of stuff all over the floor. Um, but how to do it gently and like how to do it more consciously, right? Like just don't go walk into a room and like with a garbage bag and toss every freaking thing out. So yeah. So items and energy and let's dive in, man.
Yeah, and we've had this conversation before about items and energy and the clutter, you know what I mean? And the power of decluttering. But minimalism is a movement. It is
Mhm.
a movement. And there's a reason that it's a movement at this time, I think, because you said it. it goes hand in hand, I think, with awakening and with spirituality,
Yeah,
right?
it does.
It's our environment is a reflection of what's going on inside. And as we
Yeah,
move into awakening, we're trying to deprogram and declutter all that's inside. And as we do that, we can now live with less stuff around us. We don't need those
yeah,
reflections anymore.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, you've moved in the last year, Angie. So why
Mhm.
don't you kind of share a little bit about your experience with? Because often I think declutter, I think moving, I think declutter, right?
Right.
Like why move stuff if you don't need to move stuff? So if you want to like kind of share what your experience has been, maybe like in the last few months.
Yeah. Well, we've been very conscious about, it's true with kids. You mentioned kids. Like, yeah, God, they pick up things quick a lot and fast. And one of the things when we moved across country, and so we did get rid of a lot of things because we've always had hand-me-down stuff, and we really wanted to fill our new home with furniture pieces that speak to us and that we like and that we love, right? Like that are functional for us, not just handed down to us and we make work in our space. And so that's been a really beautiful experience because I've never experienced that before. And when you do it consciously, you're more in love with your space. And when you're more in love with your space, it's easy to actually keep it clean and you know what I mean? And minimal. Like I wanted that was something we experienced when we sold our house. When they staged our house, it was so minimal, and we were all calm. We all noticed it. We all noticed it. We were all very calm, and we would just sit and be with each other, and we would do simple things and have fun. There was a lot less anxiety, a lot less scatter brain, scatterbrain. And now we're trying to recreate that experience because when we were going through it, we kept saying, yes, this is what we want. We want this feeling. And so as we move through our new house, we try to recreate that feeling. And we always say, like, if we find a piece and we don't love it, we're like, nope, we will wait. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's been my experience with
Mhm.
when I think of minimalism and I think about what I'm bringing into my house. I'm a lot more conscious too that when I'm preparing to bring something into the house, I'm getting rid of some things.
Yes, I love how you brought. I'm actually really glad that you brought that up because that was really my point. We're so freaking divine together, Angie.
Love it.
Um, and so my experience with minimalism. So I mean, we moved. I mean, oh my God, it's gonna be 6 years that
Wow.
we're in this house. So I decluttered a lot, like a lot. But then you move in. There's things still keep piling, and I mean, the kids don't play so much with toys anymore. I mean, they do. I mean, my son still loves Legos and things like that, which is more manageable because there's not as much. It's not like you have like those bouncy things like when they're babies and everything, but it's still a lot. And he's very imaginative. He has, there's Lego strewn all over the rug. But I mean, to me, that's his creative space, right? So that I don't really feel like that's cluttery. Um, to me, kind of the challenge that I'm moving through in this life experience is I actually enjoy giving things away. So not getting rid of stuff. So I've even changed my language around this of because I went through a few items yesterday and I look at it and I'm like, like a dress or there was a leather jacket yesterday. And I'm like, hey, I haven't worn this. I don't know how long. Can it serve someone else better? Yes, it can. And then I'm like, oh my God, like imagine like donating that to, the Valley Village is a common one around here. Like
Yeah.
imagine someone going to Valley Village and
And
seeing this,
finding it.
oh, and being like, oh, this will be perfect. Like that's the feeling that I put in that item now when
Yeah.
I choose to donate it. And that's such a better vibe than I haven't worn this fucking thing in years and it's just gathering dust. And why are you like negatively, energetically barfing on this item? It's not the item's fault,
Yeah.
right?
And then you're
And
keeping it
this,
there too. And you're keeping it in your space. So you're
yeah,
vomiting on it and then keeping it there.
yeah, yeah. So just be grateful for the opportunity to give it away and like just imagine like how happy someone's gonna be, how much joy that's gonna bring.
Mm,
Because I don't want to bash items because everything has consciousness. Okay, not to
yeah.
go like super down the rabbit hole, but we also have this is something that I've really learned this past year is, can this item serve someone better than it's serving me? If the answer is yes. Sometimes it's no, right? Like I
Yeah.
enjoy, my wardrobe and things like that. But if it's no, then okay, then I just place it in the the donation bag, and then once that bag's full, then I drop it off at Valley Village. And also, if I want something, or if I feel the need to have something new in my house, uh, I ordered like a bed linen set
Mhm.
from Amazon the other day. But again, I don't want the blankets and stuff piling up. So my intention is going through like the old blankets. I don't know, for us it's
Right.
blankets. It's like,
To
and I get it,
remove.
we live in Canada, the winter's freaking cold, but like bloody hell, like we still have like some like baby blankets. And I'm like, I know they're cozy and fuzzy, but like and like
Like who's
so my intention, I have a comforter from when like I was Ayla's age, which is
right.
12. Like, what the fudge am I doing? So the intention, but again, like it's kind of hard, right? Because you can feel like my energy of like
You,
irritation at myself of why have I been holding on to this? So, but this is also this is why like minimalism and is so tied into consciousness because
yes.
you recognize, okay, I've been holding on to this item for a really long time
Yeah.
and perhaps you recognize that attachment to not perhaps that item or that emotional link that you've created in your
To
mind
that thing.
with that item.
You've
Yeah.
hooked to
So I
something
mean,
outside of yourself. We were just talking about this in last episode.
yeah, yeah. So like that's my real life example. I ordered our bedroom set was always kind of like hodgepodge, just like kind of random
Mm,
blankets, nothing. And I'm just like, okay, feel like I want something consistent, like a
mm,
pattern, right? I'm
right.
consistent in my awareness now.
I would
I'm like
like that
consistent
reflection
in
in
just
my,
yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And so yeah, so that's so it's supposed to arrive like tomorrow or Thursday or something. So then my intention is just to, after I wash all the blankets that are on our bed right now, to go through them and anything that's like worn and stuff. I mean, there are like linen and clothing recycling or like reusing places around here.
yep,
Um, so looking at that, things that are still good to donate that would
yeah,
still bring joy, even like animal shelters, right? Like blankets, like animal shelters, like love blankets, right? So,
yeah,
um, so again, like taking like all these options, like all this that I get to share with people, right? For animals, other creatures. So that's really been kind of my way uh, of kind of decluttering and making space when I'm bringing something new. Like something new comes in, then
yes,
let's make
something goes
space
out.
for it.
And that's the consciousness.
Yeah,
It's moving the energy and not allowing it to get stagnant, right? And
yeah,
that's,
yeah,
that's what I think. I think that's what's important. And I think it's really important to shine light on that we're creating space. We can create space for the new things to come in, right? We don't need to attach
hmm,
to the other things because we were having this conversation right in last episode about no big deal, and it's like once like it doesn't mean anything that we're ready to move this item out of the house. It brought us
yeah,
joy. There was a time when it did, and can we just focus then on the gratitude of that item and how it served. Like I was
hmm,
so happy when I got that, but it's not for me now because I'm changing. And
yeah,
now it can be moved on for someone else. And that's a really beautiful thing. And I had that same mentality, that same concept. I had that with my house when we sold it.
hmm,
when I knew it was time for us to move on, but our house was such a gift to us. And we knew that there was a couple that needed what our house was able to offer us. And so that was my intention, like with selling the house and releasing the house. I ended up releasing the house without any attachment to it. And
Yeah.
because I knew it was going, like I had sat with that feeling of like, oh my God, the right people are going to love this house. And they do. I'm friends with them and they love the house. It's serving them just the way I wanted. And so when people ask me if I miss my house, I'm like, no, I don't. I miss it. Of
Yeah.
course I miss it. It's just it's a beautiful memory for me, right? But I
Yeah.
don't have an attachment to the house because I've released it. And I think that's part of the minimalist movement is getting comfortable with releasing. That's where we're
Yeah.
being, we need to learn to do that. I believe that's part of our awakening is learning how to move energy. And
Yeah.
energy is our physical things, and allow that to move. It
Mhm.
benefits us when we can move energy.
It does, yeah. And something that I guess is my life lesson in exploration through this is kind of the contrast sometimes of me wanting to move deeper into minimalism, but that's not the path of other
Not
people
always.
that live in this house.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's funny, like even just walking into the bedroom, I share with my husband, like, see my side, see his side. I'm
It's
like,
totally.
and that's obviously my ego just saying this out loud, but I find that's my um so I mean, and again, like share your struggles and your challenges, guys, because this
Yeah.
is, I mean, honesty and being vulnerable is huge too. Because it does also kind of release that extra energy that the ego's holding on to. And so
Mhm.
that's been my challenge, to be honest, is trying to move things out, items that we don't really need. Like, we have two televisions, but I mean, we've only been using one for the past couple months, and it's fine because other people have like tablets and phones and stuff. Um, but I know that other people are not ready to release certain items. So again,
That's
I
a
keep my
really
mouth
good
shut.
point. That's a really good point because we want to honor where other people are at too, right? And so that's a real challenge. That is a real challenge. And I used to judge what Kyle held on to. I don't anymore. So that's interesting. And I guess that's because I've
Mm,
done the work. I mean, if I'm judging him for what he's holding on to, it's because I'm judging myself for what I'm holding on to. But I've let
yeah.
go of so much of my stuff that I think I no
Mm,
longer judge it in him
mhm.
doing it. Hmm. I don't know. There's just something there.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's something deeper. I'll text you at midnight. Oh my God, this is what it is.
I'm sure I know that always happens. It always happens. That's
Yeah.
why
Or
these
when we rewatch
conversations are
this on
for
the
us.
live.
Yeah, these conversations are for us just as much as it is for other people, right? Like, yeah, when we watch back our videos at the premiere, it's like, oh man, more awareness is dropping.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. I mean, with this topic of minimalism and how, a lot of extra items deplete our energy, but
Mhm.
even through the process of moving through minimalism and the process of moving through these challenges of other people may not be interested in minimalism, and you chose to share your house with them. So what do you do? But go in, right?
Yes.
Look at, like me judging my husband because of the stuff in the bedroom that he keeps. Okay, but can I go in and notice where I'm feeling that, and like what am I, is it a reflection of me holding on to things internally, or
Yeah.
it could be a reflection of all different things,
It could
right?
be
Maybe
our
it's just
time.
my response when I walk in, maybe like my bug-eyedness. I mean, yeah, I need to be more aware of that, right? Um, but I mean, minimalism is just a beautiful way to be even like dive even deeper to conscious awareness. It's not just getting rid of stuff, guys. That's not actually what, maybe that's like what the advertising or the mindset around like maybe that's what people think about minimalism, but it's not actually getting rid of stuff. It's like Angie said, like, what stuff do you really love? What stuff do
Yes,
you,
it's a
furnish your
consciousness.
surroundings with things that you love, that
Yeah.
bring you joy,
It's
and
making
things
conscious
that,
choice in your space.
yes, yes, conscious choice in your space. Exactly.
And when you make conscious choice in your space, and that was something I was going to say, like I was judging my husband for what he held on to and some of these things because I would be like, I want to also just get rid of it. I just want to be like, I haven't seen you touch this like the whole time we've been together, so I'm going to throw it out, right? It's kind of, but I could never bring myself to it, but I always wanted to. And then when I started, I don't know, when I just started making conscious choices about what I keep, he started letting go of things. This is the
Mhm.
magic you're talking about that we always talk about. It's magical, guys. It really happens. When you focus on you, sometimes they can't help but match it,
Yeah.
right? So they start doing things too that you're like, oh, and so I never needed to make a big deal out of it. And if you want to know
Exactly.
what I'm talking about, go see episode 41. Never, don't make a big deal out of it. But yeah, I think it is a beautiful movement though. It is a beautiful movement that moves us into conscious choice and making choices that make us feel good. And it helps us to connect how we feel about things like and you often point back to the body. How does it feel? Like, so when we can't control what other people are choosing in the household and we share a household with them, the invitation is always to go in then when it's feeling crunchy. Like, then you go
Yeah.
in and your answers are in there. That's, we don't trust that sometimes, but your answers are in there for what is going on. Why is this a problem? Why is this a big deal for you? Or why is this coming into your awareness?
Cluttering you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm, I love that. Yeah. My invitation to everyone would be, as you start exploring minimalism more, um, be aware of your energy and your presence and your consciousness as you're going through your items.
Yes.
Um, so it's easy when we're like, okay, yes, I want to keep this, I want to keep that, but then you're looking at like a collection of like, baseball caps, and it's like, oh, well, this one I can give, and then just give with love, right? Don't do it grudgingly, because then again, you're putting that in. Do you really want to put grudge in that object, right? Or do you want to
Yeah.
give it love? Do you want to say, hey, thanks for spending like 10 years with me? Now you can help someone else, right?
Yeah. And my
So that's my
invitation,
invitation.
thank you. That's a beautiful invitation. Um, my invitation is when you clear a space, like, so let's say you have a desk that's always cluttered. Let's say you take one space that you want to sort of apply minimalism to, okay? I'm going to tell you it's very important when you do it. There's a law of vacuum. It's the universal law of vacuum. And whatever you remove, right, whenever energy is vacuumed out, right, what's going to happen is that space has to be filled with energy again. And it's going to get filled with the same energy that left if you don't consciously choose. And so the same principle that you gave, Natalie, about, being conscious of how you're taking stuff out of your house, the same thing with that space. Take a space that you want to apply minimalism to and pour as much love as you can into that space as you're clearing it. And put your intention of, I want this space to be clear. I want the space to be clear. I want the space to be clear. Sage it. I don't care what you do. Sage it, put crystals on it, whatever you do, right? Pour love into it, whatever your practice is, right? But do something intentional because whatever is going to fill that space, it's going to follow your intention. If you don't give it an intention, it's just going to, that's how a table that gets cluttered and you clear it with that negative energy, guess what happens? It suddenly gets filled again by everybody in the
Yeah.
house. This is the truth. I have done this. I have spaces that I have intentionally made like this is going to stay this way, and nobody in the house puts anything on those spaces. And it's because I've been
Power
very
of
intentional.
intention.
Yeah. That's my invitation. Be intentional with one space. I don't care if it's the top of your microwave. Like the top of my microwave is now set and nothing else goes on top of there.
I feel like we could probably dive in deeper. I definitely want
I
to dive in
know.
deeper into minimalism and intention. So stay tuned for the future, guys. Even though the
For
future doesn't exist.
102. Yeah, minimalism 102.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's going on the
yeah.
topics for
Minimalism
sure.
with intention. Yeah,
Yeah, because it's the intention that's so important. So yeah, yeah, play with it,
yeah.
guys. Play with it. Play with the space, play with intention, and see what happens. And start with a corner. Start with one table. Start with a
One
microwave
little
top.
thing.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, thanks. What a great conversation. I really enjoyed this one. I enjoy
This
all of
is
them,
really
really.
fun.
You
Yeah.
know, if we get down to it. But thank you for tuning in. Whenever you're tuning in is perfect for you. Know that you're not here by accident. And if you like the video, please like it. It helps us reach more people. And subscribe if you're liking these videos, and hit the notification bell so you know when we premiere every Tuesday. You get a notification. If you want to know more about us, you can find us in the description box below. And we love you. Thank you for being here and share your own experiences and thoughts and wisdom around this. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Angie. Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night.